Shit, well, it's actually a miracle. You know what, I'll just restart this whole show too. Watch this, bear with me. Look. Well, it's not working. Go back to me. Restart it. Boom. We'll just start from scratch. Thank you very much for saying the mic wasn't working. I was speaking one load of shit for the entirety of that intro. It's a fucking shambles. See, you've saved me there. Thank you. Well, hello and welcome again to this show, this Tuesday's show. It's actually Wednesday now over here. I will put in the description. Everyone just fucking ignore that last entire 5 minutes or whatever the hell that was. Let's get right into it, man. I'm speaking about Army of the Dead, Zack Snyder's latest movie. It's a trailer. It's dropped. It's the second trailer. I've never seen the first one. This is my first foray into this movie. And I'm very, very excited to see Zack returning to a zombie flick. We know he done Dawn of the Dead, 17 years ago? I can't recall when it came out, 2004, that's 17 years ago, if my maths isn't doing me a disservice. I love this trailer. I love the fact we had a zombie tiger in there. I ain't ever seen a zombified animal before. We've seen it in this. We've got a lot of fuss in this movie when it comes to the zombie sub-genre within the horror genre, if you can put the zombie genre within the horror genre. The first being it's a heist, and again that's immaculately laid out in this trailer. The family man that is Dave Bautista's character, him appearing on the screen, he's got a wife or a partner at the very least. We lay down the foundations of this character, then he's given a proposal. Go and steal some money in a vault underneath the Las Vegas Strip. He's got a 32-hour window. It was a beautiful trailer, that's what I'm saying. And then you have the side arc to that as well. Let's bring it back up. Fuck's sake, I've lost the plot here. The side arc to that, which I don't know why I'm bringing this up incidentally. It's not really doing anything other than just giving us a little bit of something different for the visuals. It's not just my ugly mush dominating the screen. But the side arc of the alpha zombies, a different kind of zombie. We have two distinct zombies. We have Zack speaking about that in this article, and I'm going to bring that up because that's much better to look at than that other article from Collider. We actually have quotes in this article, which gives me something to read, so I'm not going on and on and on and on and on, muttering a load of shite. Let's see, what has he been saying? Zachary. Yeah, that is his name. It is Zachary. It's just Zack for short. It's here. There we go. Zack has said this to say the two different zombies. And look, I'm nearly saying action jackson there, slurring my words. We've only ever seen this done once before, from my memory. Two different. Well, we've seen multiple zombies, but the sort of alert, self-aware zombie. I've seen this done in Amiga Man in the 1970s with Charlton Heston. Obviously we have, I can't recall what his name is, but I should know this because I'm absolutely obsessed with that movie. But the sort of albino, white kind of zombies who reside in the shadows, in the darkness, they're in that movie. That's a kind of self-aware, zombified sort of state. And it's not been done, that I'm aware of, for a very long time. There may have been a movie between Amiga Man and Army of the Dead which has broached this, but Zack's broaching it in this. He's had this to say: we have two categories of zombies in the movie. Alphas, legend, I am legend, yes. Alphas, and then normal shamblers. You see a zombie movie, normal shamblers, it's like a normal zombie. That kind of was a rip-off of Amiga Man, I Am Legend. That was like a modern remake without Charlton Heston. And Will Smith, though, you could argue he was actually better than Charlton, but I love Charlton Heston. Don't know why. I think it was my grandfather got me into those guys like Yul Brenner, Charles Bronson, Charlton Heston. And I'm glad for it because it's a bit of movie history that you don't want to miss, man. If you're a fan of film, you need to go back and watch the likes of The Great Escape and stuff like that. But look, man, I'm going off on a tangent again. It's dangerous at this time of night. Like a normal zombie, they kind of move slowly, and then our alphas, which are an evolved version of zombies. And zombies, they have taken another step. They're much too fast. We kind of treat them like, almost like wolves or the like. They're sentient, you know what I mean? I do know what you mean, Zack. Your English is fucking horrendous in this, though. They fight in packs, and they kind of have a pack mentality. You get the gist. It's a very different zombie movie, and you can understand why Netflix have greenlit a prequel movie and animated show, and we see that there is news of this prequel, and it's called Army of Thieves. I don't like that headline, or that title I should say. I can't even speak English tonight. It's not a great title, is it? It's just doing the whole Spider-Man thing. We have to have home in it. In this case, we have to have army in it. Let's call it Army of Thieves. It makes no sense to me. They're setting up the characters, though, who are going to be prominent in this movie. By all accounts, what the safe means to the character who wants to get their hands on it in this movie. They're setting up. It's an interesting way to do it. You do the current day story, then you go back and do prequels. We've seen that with George Lucas and Star Wars. It was a bit of a disaster for George. Most people would agree those prequel movies not as good as the originals, and it was because there was no stakes. We knew what happened in the future, and it just kind of disconnected. You enjoyed it in the middle, but when it came to the end, you know what's going to happen. You don't really, you're not invested. You don't give a shit. But wait, man, I'm intrigued mostly by the heist thing and the fact that Dave Bautista's in there. Being a wrestling fan growing up, I love Dave, and I love the fact he's branching out and doing different kinds of movies. It's not just generic action movies. He's doing the likes of Guardians. He's doing this. He done that. What was it? The fireman one, firefighter one. It was a kind of comedy one. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy it's got Dave. I'm happy it's got this heist element. It's a sort of dystopian Las Vegas setting as well. That's very intriguing. A city which has a reputation for being a little bit debauched. You go there, you do whatever the hell you want. What happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. The fact we're taking a zombie movie and putting it in there excites me very much. And on top of that, this dual zombie stuff, an evolved zombie state. Never seen that done to this extent, where it's almost like, I don't know how it even works. I'm not even going to try and comprehend how it works, how a zombie can evolve. It's fucking dead. It shouldn't be able to evolve. It's decaying, but somehow they've evolved. Maybe it's a viral zombie, maybe it's a fungi which has took control of the zombies, and they're not really dead, they're just evolving into this sort of lunatic state. I don't know how it's working. Zach will know how it's working. I have full faith in Zach. Anyone that's watched Dawn of the Dead knows this guy will know that this guy knows how to make a good zombie movie. So I'm excited. The fact that it's got prequels greenlit and all sorts of spin-offs means it must be absolute dynamite. The trailers have got me excited. It was the first time I'd seen a trailer for this movie. We were supposed to react to the first one, we never done it. So I'm glad I finally dipped my toes into the water before we actually move on to the movie itself, because to be quite frank with you, it'd be shit getting into it cold. I wouldn't know what the hell's going on. We've got a comment again. There was a movie called Warm Bodies. It was a comedy with fully sentient zombies. It was kind of shite though. Yeah, I kind of stay away from the shite movies. I'm a bit of a, how should I put it, not a glory hunter, but I go for the bigger movies. I do like me some independent movies as well, but not zombie ones. Although you can imagine, was it George A. Romero? Was that the main man who done Night of the Living Dead and stuff like that? In a way, they were kind of independent movies, weren't they? Those original zombie movies, which kick-started it all off. Well, did they? I don't know. I'm not as much of a movie buff as I proclaim to be when it comes to zombie movies. There may have been ones from the 40s, the 50s. We had some crazy shit back then, so it wouldn't surprise me. But Romero really made it. He made it prominent, didn't he? But wait, man, I'm excited for this movie. I'm loving the trailer. I'm loving the music. I'm loving the Zack Snyder vibe to it. The cast is dynamite. We've got a zombie fucking tiger. What more do you want in a zombie movie? I cannot wait to see how this tiger plays out. I'd imagine you just shoot it in the head and move on your way, but if you've seen the trailer, there's literally thousands of zombies packed behind containers. So if you give yourself away, it's going to be scary. It's going to be crazy shit. But look, man, I'm going to move on to the next topic, and it's about Star Trek. That's a topic I don't broach very much on this show. I'm more of a Star Wars fan these days. When I was growing up as a young kid, I did like Next Generation, and I was a fan of the Star Trek movies. The Generations in the movie, which blended Kirk and obviously Picard. I was a fan of Star Trek growing up, but I lost my way. And then we had JJ doing what JJ, wow, too many J's. What he does best, coming in and revamping a flailing franchise, if that's even the correct word. And he done it with obviously the likes of Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Simon Pegg, the other guy from Dread, Carol Urban. And he done, and of course, Zoe Saldana, that person who just keeps popping up in all of these big blockbuster franchises and making millions upon millions of pounds. She's been in Avatar, she's been in Star Trek, she's in Marvel. So this a dynamite cast. That's what I'm saying. He breathed. That's the word. New life into this franchise. I loved these characters. I loved Benedict being Khan, a new version of Khan. It was for the new ages. It was for a multi-demographic audience. It wasn't just for Trekkies and sort of basement dwellers, and it's harsh to say that because they aren't basement dwellers, but that's what the normal populace think when they think of Star Trek. He made it more popular, that's what I'm saying. And of course, we've had quite a gap between the Simon Pegg movie, I can't even recall what it was called, Into Darkness, was it? Which I actually liked. I actually thought it was the most faithful to the original Star Trek movies of any of those modern ones, and that's probably because Simon is a Star Trek man. He's a fan of it. And of course, he's been in both franchises, Star Wars and Star Trek. There's been a break though, and then last week, I think it was, we get an announcement that Paramount will be making a new Star Trek movie. We don't yet know what this is encompassing. Is it going to be the continuation of Chris Pine, of Zachary Quinto as the Great Spock, as all of the gang that we have grown to love over the last decade or so? Or is it going to be a continuation of something completely different? Well, we know that the writer has been involved in a previous Star Trek project, and it wasn't involving the aforementioned actors. They're suggesting this could be a continuation of Nemesis from the 1990s. I personally don't want to see that. I personally want to see them continuing with the current characters and leaving that franchise, that sort of dead era of Star Trek in the past. We've not got the likes of... Well, we have got Patrick Stewart. That's Patrick. I always blank on that and think it's Swayze. He's dead, sadly. Patrick did come back and do Picard, but there's no real future for that character. And I've not really got any interest outside of Next Generation, so I'm biased. I want to see the continuation of those characters. But look, I'm going off in tangents and talking one load of shit, man. Zachary has been out speaking, and he's had this to say. I was actually going to use the other article, but it's absolutely fine. I'll use this one. Is this the article I've got in front of me? It is, on my iPad. The nature of my setup is that I've got a camera, a mirrorless Sony camera right in front of me, parked right in front of the monitor that I'm reading the quote off of, so I can't read it. It's a terrible setup. I don't know why the fuck I do it, but that's life. This is a quote. I've got an iPad, it's all good. Honestly, I have no real idea what's going on with Star Trek, but we all love each other and we all love that experience, and I'm sure if it comes back round, we are all available. I'm sure we'd be happy to jump back on board. No pun intended. Don't know what the pun is. Beam me aboard. I don't know. But I don't know. That's in other people's hands, and I know I, for one, have had sort of moved on in terms. Can I just read that one more time? Have had sort of moved on in terms of any kind of expectations. Is that even English, Zachary? I've seen you in interviews. You speak very coherent English. Very articulate guy. What the fuck is that, Zachary? I'm trying to read this, my friend. It's hard enough doing a live show without you and your bastardised English. But you never know, things come back in surprising ways, and it's surprising times, and it could be fun if it happens. It would be fun if it happened. Well, I've enjoyed those movies, man, and he is a great Spock, and sadly, the legendary Leonard Nimoy is no longer with us. He is now passed away, so he can't come back. There's no future for that character in that timeline. We have a split timeline. We have an opportunity to use youthful, lively actors. They're all up for it. They want to come back. Why would you not continue it? And they done alright at the box office, I'm pretty sure they did. But we've got Zachary coming out and speaking more about this. I think he was coming out and saying something about a TV show. I think this is the quote here that I'm interested in. Now, he would be intrigued if he can't get a gig playing Spock in the movies anymore to maybe portray him in a TV show. And look, I always love Spock. I love Leonard Nimoy. I love DeForest Kelly as well as Bones McCoy. But Spock was always the guy I was transfixed by. He was this zany, brilliant mind. He was the sort of brains to the brawn of James Tiberius Kirk. So I always was drawn to Spock. I was always drawn to Leonard Nimoy and his brilliance. With him no longer being here, with the rise of TV in recent years, and especially in these streaming services, I would love to see a Spock TV show. This is what Leonard, this is what Zachary's had to say. It's so hard to say. I consider anything and everything that comes into my experience, and I consider it on an individual basis based on criteria that are specific to that time and those circumstances. It's hard to be theoretical about things. He's been on to say, I love that character, I love that world, I think there's a lot of possibilities of storytelling in there, and I'd certainly be open to any conversation, but it depends on the who, what, where, when, and how and why, and all those questions that can only be answered in specifics, not necessarily hypothetically. So we'll see. So he's opening the door to coming back and playing Spock. This guy is a great actor. He's a great guy off the screen. Why the fuck would Paramount not want to open the doors up and bring this guy in to portray Spock? I don't know if there's I think there is Paramount Plus or some shit like that streaming service. Why would you not make a Spock TV show with this guy, man? Why would you not continue the movies with all of those actors? Chris Pine is a great actor. Simon Pegg is a great actor. Carol Urban, great actor. Zoe Saldana, great actor. And Zachary Quinto, great actor. They're all relatively young. They've got at least a decade left playing these characters. Why are you pissing their prime up against a wall like George Lucas done in the 1990s and 80s with Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher on Star Wars? He pissed it up against a wall. We get the sequel trilogy. It was terrible. You're doing the same here with Star Trek, and now you're going to have to make a whole other timeline, a whole other universe with Star Trek. Different characters, different actors. And you'll lose that sort of populism that was buffed with J.J. Abrams in this new era of Star Trek. I don't know why they do it. I don't know why they try and make split timelines and different movies. Just make movies with Zachary Quinto, Chris Pine, Carol Urban. Just do it, Paramount. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm speaking about it. And if not, give us Zachary in a movie. I'll be happy either way if you do that. But look, if you piss him about, then I'll be raging. So get your shit together. You don't want an angry Scotsman coming after you, Paramount. That's not a good thing. And an angry Glaswegian within Scotland, that's even worse, because Glasgow is the epicentre of craziness in Scotland, let me tell you. But wait, man, going to speak about this next topic. It's ArcLight Cinemas and Pacific Theatres. It's a big news topic it dropped today. I couldn't headline the show with it because I don't know enough about these companies. But when you speak about movie news and you're in the midst of a pandemic, it's coming to an end, and two presumably landmark theatre companies hit the wall, they go out the game, you have to speak about it, really. It's always sad when people lose their jobs and businesses go out of business, funny enough, and more so when it's coming to the end of this pandemic by the looks of it, and they could perhaps have had an opportunity to open their doors up, see the light of day, and they go out the game. It's tragic, and I want to speak about it. Because of course it's only been in the last month or so that New York and LA opened up their doors in terms of theatres. I cannot get my iPad to work. What is going on with Screen Rant on my iPad? It's absolutely tragic. For another reason, I think this is the news. It's coming from... Who's it coming from? It's a company. They released this statement. It's a long statement. After shutting their doors more than a year ago, today we must share the difficult and sad news that Pacific will not be reopening its ArcLight Cinemas and Pacific Theatres locations. This was not the outcome anyone wanted, but despite a huge effort that exhausted all potential options, the company does not have a viable way forward. To all the Pacific and ArcLight employees who have devoted their professional lives to making their theatres the very best places in the world to see movies, we are grateful for your services and dedication to our customers, to our guests, blah 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 blah. They offer their deepest thanks, it's a pleasure. And they drift off into the sunset. And look, man, one of these locations, by all accounts, was featured on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Quentin done an amazing job of capturing the gritty realism of 1960s LA, 1968 LA, and he went out his way to capture one of these. I think it was probably the ArcLight. I'm not entirely up to date on the geography of Los Angeles, but it would probably be an ArcLight. So it's going to be a huge loss to the LA scene and to wherever else these locations, whatever locations these theatres were in, and it's a shame, as I keep saying, to see people losing their jobs during this time. And it's just a blow to diversity, to choice for film fans. They don't want to go into AMC, they don't want to go to Cinemark, I think it is, over there, or Regal Cinemas. They had these companies maybe on their doorstep. They've lost that opportunity now. It may be that people who had it on their doorstep now have to travel further to go and see a movie in the theatres. And it's an inconvenience. And it's maybe one less film fan not going to see a movie in the theatre. So it's a loss for all. That's what I'm saying. And I've not got much more else to say about it. I just wanted to touch on it because I've seen that two cinema companies, two theatre companies would hit the wall, and it may be prescient in today's climate for the likes of AMC. We may see more of these chains hitting the wall, and this could be very detrimental to the art, the art of going to see cinema. The experience of going to see cinema, going to see art on the biggest screen possible. I hope not, because it's going to open the door for the likes of Amazon and Netflix to slip their sort of slippery hands into the cinema game. We could see them buying up companies like AMC and only offering specific content to, theatre-going audiences. So I don't know what else to say about it, man. I'm going to move fucking on. I'm gibbering a load of shite. It's sad to see cinemas hitting the wall. That's what I'll end it in. And I'm going to move on to this topic here. And I keep speaking about Black Panther. I've spoke about it about 5 times or something in the last month or so. I don't know why I keep speaking about it, but because there's news out. And this particular bit of news is absolutely ridiculous. I don't agree with it at all, but I'll get into it. MCU fans have started a petition. Don't they ever learn that petitions don't do anything? After the petitions that came out from the fans trying to oust Amber Heard at Warner Brothers, you should have realised that you're wasting your energy and your time. Don't do it. But look, man, it's this. They're trying to get T'Challa recast. In a sense, they're trying to have another Black Panther brought onto the screen that's not played by the late, great and brilliant Chadwick Boseman. This is a quote. I think this is the organiser of this petition, whoever the fuck they are, as the first black superhero in mainstream. Look, I'll prefix it by saying this. I understand the reasons they're doing it. They want to have an inspirational black character remain on the screen. They want it to be Black Panther or T'Challa. But I'll get into and hopefully deconstruct in a better articulate way than just swearing all the time why that's a bad idea. Because I could just say it's shit, it's a terrible idea and move on, but I'll try and do it a little bit more justice. Mainstream comics in the MCU, T'Challa is literally black history. He is. He was created in 1966 during the civil rights era, and that's the power of comics. The likes of Stan Lee, not scared to trample on toes and do something a little bit controversial, introduce a black character into a white dominated sphere and offer inspiration to minority communities. In doing so, he done it with Spider-Man. It was a character for all. To the bare embodiment of positive black representation, his character was also instrumental in uplifting black female characters such as Storm the Dora Milaje, who were just in Falcon and the Winter Soldier and absolutely destroyed US Agent. I loved it. And his own sister Shuri, Letitia Wright, great actor. There is no more positive form of representation in black culture than strong black men and women supporting one another. T'Challa's character was only scratching the surface with his story in the MCU, and there's so much more left to tell. Well, there is, but sadly, Chadwick is no longer with us, and I do not want to see another actor portraying that specific character in the MCU. I think it would be sacrilege, blasphemous to the man to continue on with that character. The nature of Black Panther is that it's a sort of passing of the baton character. You can bring in another character from the world and give them the title of Black Panther, and they are Black Panther. So I don't want to see this. I understand what they're saying. His character had just started, but he'd done so much in the movies already. He'd saved half of the universe from being wiped out of existence. They can do it in a natural way. Just pay tribute to it, even if it's just a credits at the start, a la Star Wars. I know they don't do that in Marvel, but they can do something. And Ryan Coogler, it was his baby, the cinematic version of the character. I'm sure he will pay respect to Chadwick Boseman, to T'Challa, and move on from a character with a new era of storytelling. Hopefully it could be Shuri, but I personally want it to be Eric Killmonger, that is president in the comics, for Eric to be resurrected in Wakanda and become Black Panther. I don't know if he became Black Panther, but he can be resurrected. And I personally would love to see Eric Killmonger, the equally great Michael B. Jordan, returning, good friend of Chadwick's, and taking on the mantle of Black Panther. That's what I want to see. I don't want to see CGI. I don't want to see recasting, no matter what this fan base petition requests. I hope Disney Marvel completely ignore it. Why not have Winston Dukes and Baku become Black Panther? Why not have a female? Why not have Shuri go in? But there is options there. We do not have to recast. It is blasphemous. Do not do it. I hope that Chadwick gets an Oscar for his work in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. And that's the end of a chapter of a great life of a great man who's sadly lost. But look, I'm sadly moving on because I ain't got much more to say about it. To the final topic in the show. It's about Godzilla versus Kong. There's an article come out saying that it's made a profit already. They're championing this movie. It's an absolute success. It's a look, man, I've not seen a movie yet. I'm looking to get into the theatres hopefully in the next month or so when they open up and watch this movie in a theatre. I refused point blank to watch it on a streaming service, to watch it on a tiny little screen. It's fucking sacrilege to watch this movie, let alone recast Black Panther. To watch this movie on a small screen, I ain't doing it. I want to see it in a theatre with a booming sound system. That's how it was intended. Preferably IMAX if I can get my hands on an IMAX ticket, into an IMAX in general if they're opened. But they've been, I'll read the article. They've been championing this movie. That's not even the word, championing this movie. And its success at the box office. I'm going to get into why this it winds me up a little bit more than it should, because Tenet, we'll get into it. According to a new report, Godzilla vs. Kong, as of this writing, has amassed just shy of $358 million at the global box office thus far. That includes $70 million from domestic theatres. It is extremely important to note that the movie is available on HBO Max in the US at no additional cost to subscribers, so that number is particularly encouraging as it signals people are ready to return to theatres. It is encouraging. It's a sign that people are ready to get back to normality after this shit show of a virus buggers off. If you've been familiar with news in Britain, you will see that people are out having a good drink and having a meal down in London, and you've got the little bitches sniping at them on social media. How dare they go out? They're selfish. They're killing people. They're not. 70% of the country's been vaccinated. They want to get back to normality like I do. So this is a good sign that people want to get back to theatres. I do agree with that. What I don't agree with is the numbers and how they're working out a profit for this movie. Overall, it's expected that $131.4 million of the money will make its way back to the studio. The movie, $131.4 million will make its way back to the studio. How the fuck is that a profit? That movie has had a bigger budget than that. No way, man. It carries a $160 million production budget. How's 150? Oh, it's killing my brain reading this. The absolute stupidity of this. How the fuck is $131.4 million against a $160 million budget a profit? It's $28.6 million less than what the movie cost to make. That is not a profit. That is a loss. Marketing was estimated to be in the 70 million range. So 70 million plus 160 million budget is it's 200 and I can't. My maths are terrible. 200 and what? $30 million. It is not a profit. Other revenue sources as follows: 60 million from international TV deals. Right, blah 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 blah. It's $386 million. It's grossed $358 million. You take in theatre cuts. You take in production budgets. You take in promotion. It is not made a profit. They are talking utter shite. And I'm going to quickly search up what Tenet made, because that get branded a failure. It was an absolute shambles for Nolan. It was a shambles for Warner Brothers, because it was in the midst of a pandemic last year and he wanted people to go to the theatres. He wanted to save theatre companies, and it got branded a failure. So let's see. Box office: Tenet, $363.1 million. So it's earned $3 million more than Godzilla vs. Kong. It was a failure. Disaster for Warner Brothers. Godzilla vs. Kong makes a profit. Incredible movie. Success at box office. You're seeing the absolute disgrace in the reporting. The just contradictory reporting. I love Tenet, man. I'm biased. I don't know where I'm going with this. It's got nothing to do with Godzilla v Kong. I'm not shitting on it. It's just the reporting, man. You know, it's not made a profit. That's what I'm saying. But look, I'm going to round up. There was another thing before I move on. There was another little thing. The producer was out speaking about potential spin-offs. I can't even read the quote though, so I can't speak about it. Needless to say, he says there's lots of room for sequels, for spin-off movies within Hollow Earth and all of these shenanigans that they could do with these next movies. I says this. One of them was playing coy. I think it was the producer of Godzilla vs. Kong. Says he didn't know whether there was going to be a sequel to this movie. I says at the time me and Stephen spoke about it, I think it was last week, I says absolute bollocks. There will absolutely be sequels. I've not seen the movie, so I don't know if Godzilla or Kong bit the bullet, but I would imagine they didn't, because they're box office gold. This guy's now confirming that there is scope, there's appetite for sequels, so shock horror. But that's going to round the show up, man. I'm done speaking. What is your thoughts on the array of topics I touched upon? Have you seen the new Army of the Dead trailer? What do you make about that zombie tiger? Did that whet your anticipatory juices for this movie? If it didn't, then you're dead inside. What do you make about the dual a double zombie thing going on, an alpha zombie with evolution and slow moving George A. Romero zombie. What do you make about that? Are you excited about this movie? About the sequel? What do you make about Army of Thieves as a title? Do you think that's shite like me? You can comment below if you've got anything to say. What do you make about this whole Zachary Quinto Star Trek shenanigans? What do you make about the new Star Trek movie? Do you think it'll be a continuation or not? What do you make about the theatres going out the game over in LA? And finally, Black Panther getting recast. Is that a disgrace to Chadwick Boseman, to fans of that character? Do you want to see that? I don't know. And Godzilla, what do you make about that? You can comment below if you've got anything to say at all. I don't know why I get through every topic like that, it's ridiculous. You can also like the video on YouTube if you've enjoyed it, subscribe on there too if you want to see more content. Hit the follow button over on Twitch if you want to see us over there as well, you will get more content if you do. But until then guys, if you do, I'll see you again. If you don't, bye bye, that's absolutely fine. Bye bye. Bye. Thank you very much to Ghosthand for commenting as well. Incidentally, I never thanked you. Thank you for commenting, my friend. Appreciate it.